Hi everybody, so today for the Curriculum Slam, I will be presenting my lesson on how to draw an orange in Photoshop. So the unit topic is going to be still lives. It's primarily about 7th grade, and our big idea is humans and nature. The media is digital, and the artist exemplars are Van Gogh and Christine Almeida. So the focus of the lesson is how to draw a still life, specifically fruit, in Photoshop. Our goals are going to be how to operate a tablet and stylus in a digital media format, such as Photoshop or a similar app, to be able to use the different types of brushes and tools and everything that are in digital programs like that, and how to be able to use layers, opacity, blending tools, and selection tools to be able to give their art a little extra push that they need to make it how they want it. Oh, and I forgot to say, this orange right here is my example. Obviously, you won't show them that till the end, but I just wanted to put it there so y'all had the example. So the teaks, here are the teaks. We are mainly focusing on direct observation, creative expression from direct observation, and being able to identify the historical relevance behind still lives. The learning objectives is to be able to create original artworks based on direct observation, utilizing Photoshop or another similar program to be able to make their art, and students will be able to critique each other's work so they can know what they did right and what they might need to do for the next time. So for the introduction to my lesson, the prior knowledge is going to be talking about Van Gogh's fruit still lives, and also talking about some of the experience that students have had with digital media and drawing. Some of them may have never done it at all. Some of them, that might be their favorite form of art. So we want to gauge the prior knowledge on that and see where everyone's at, and we will discuss some different tools and see what they're most comfortable with, and how to be able to use that to replicate Van Gogh's artwork. For the Explore, it's really similar to the introduction, discussing the still lives and then gathering all our materials, installing any apps and software you need. And then for the procedure, we're going to watch my video that I made. So I have a video of me presenting the lesson, and either if it was a Zoom class, they would watch that video, but if it was in person, I would just be basically recreating the video in person. So here's my video. I'm going to have it embedded so that you can click on it right here. And if it doesn't work for some reason, I'll have it in the description below. The vocabulary that we're focusing on is dpi or dots per inch, pixels, the eyedropper tool, the lasso tool, and opacity. So I chose a mix of some digital media focused vocab and art vocab because I feel like a lot of these are very important to understand when you're working with digital media. And if you don't know what anything means in the program, then it's going to be hard for you to fully take advantage of the program. So the procedure part 2, here is step by step all the things that I showed in my video. So it's basically just a written list version of the video from earlier. The formative assessment for this assignment, the lesson is structured in a way that each step involves a different tool, and so that's part of how I work the vocabulary in. And if it's via Zoom, instead of walking around to make sure everyone's on track, they will submit a screenshot at the end of the class so I can see how far they got and see if anyone's struggling behind or if anyone's like already almost done, just to balance out each person's level of comfort on the assignment. And then the summative assignment will be an artist statement worksheet. So at the end of the assignment, they'll be titling their work and discussing the style of art, so still lives. They'll identify the tools and the methods that they learned in the lesson and be able to talk about that. And then they'll give a little self-critique for themselves, as well as also critiquing each other. They'll mix up the worksheets and be able to walk around and critique each other, or if it was in Zoom, they'll use breakout rooms. So the accommodations and modifications. So the accommodations that I have for a student on the autism spectrum, they will have a hard copy of the different steps, so you can reuse the steps I showed earlier for that. I can give y'all the exact step-by-step if you need that. They'll have a little more time to complete the assignment. Of course, it'll depend on their individual needs. And then if the district allows it, they'll have a way to take home the device they're using and be able to work on it at home so they have more time. And then the accommodations for a student with a fine motor skill difficulty, they will have a modified stylus with a larger grip. The device will have a more protective case and maybe an extra stylus with it, and they can have a wrist rest if they need it. Then for modifications for a student on the autism spectrum, we will reduce the intensity of the lesson. Instead of having multiple pieces of fruit in this piece, they'll only need to draw one. They'll have a little more direct assistance and work well with their caregiver if that's applicable to make sure they understand the tools and methods of the assignment. And then the modifications for a student with a fine motor skill difficulty, will relax the grading criteria for the quality of work because maybe they can't draw as precisely as everyone else, but they still have the general idea down and are using the tools that the lesson called for. Their grouping structure is independent work, but they'll be able to discuss with their classmates about what they want to do. They can draw from the same still life if they want, just from different angles. And this final critique will also be a small group, but it'll be a different group than the people they sat with or a breakout room if it was in Zoom. The learning styles are naturalist, spatial, and body kinesthetic. So the naturalist idea is focusing on the fine details of nature and fruit and be able to recreate that digitally. Spatial, they'll need to visualize what's going on and how to draw that, how to get what they're visualizing onto the paper. And then the bodily kinesthetic, whenever you're using digital media, there's a lot more hand-eye coordination a lot of times involved, and it's just a very different experience than drawing on paper. So that's how it'll utilize that and be able to give them a different experience in drawing than they had before. And then here are some of the sources I used for this information. So if you have any questions, just leave a comment and I'll reply to you. Thank you for watching, and I hope that y'all enjoyed this lesson.